Apple's big product event is next week. The tech giant is expected to unveil a new lineup of iPhones, a more affordable iPad, and maybe even a new Apple Watch. Joining us now with their expectations, Gene Munster, Loop Ventures founder and managing partner, and Joanna Stern, Wall Street Journal senior personal technology columnist. Good morning to you both. Joanna, I guess the question every time we have one of these events, on a scale of kind of ho-hum to wow, I can't believe what they have in store for us, where would you think this new product set is going to lie?
I think in the middle. I think to be fair, right smack in the middle. This year, we're expecting new iPhones, of course, 4 new iPhones, which is what they've sort of been doing in the past, sort of giving an array around the price ranges. 2 new ones in the iPhone 14 range. That's the lower end. I do the air quotes because they'll still probably start $700, $800. The big change there, though, is that they are supposed to get rid of that mini phone, or they're expected to get rid of that mini phone and replace it with a bigger 6.7-inch screen, which means you have sort of an iPhone normal size and then an iPhone Max size at the lower end pricing, right? Not in that Pro. So you got that big phone, and I expect that one to be a pretty big seller because people really are buying the bigger screens now and didn't necessarily want to go up to that Pro model.
Okay, and so aside, I guess, from just the larger phone, Joanna, is there anything that you feel as if it's going to catalyze a lot more buying interest above and beyond the typical upgrade cadence that we have?
I think for the early adopters, there always are those sort of wow features, those smaller things that seem to make a difference to them. I think the camera, we're hearing about a 48 megapixel camera on the Pro models. That's a big jump from the previous 12 megapixel cameras that we've had. On Apple, of course, to tell us why those megapixels are going to be better. Expecting a lot to hear about computational photography. This is Apple and Google and all the big companies push into telling us why actually the computers can do better jobs at taking photos than the actual sensors and the hardware. Yeah.
We all have to sort of either be educated on all the details or just love the fact that the camera constantly gets better, I guess. Gene, one of the, I think, things behind Apple's, expansion of valuation and the way the stock has outperformed has been it's less hit-driven, or perceived as less hit-driven than it used to be. It's not like every couple of years, is it going to fly? Is it going to be a good year or not? So what does that mean for when they do have these product rollouts? Where does that sit within Apple's just normal course of business of upgrades and such?
It takes a lot of the pressure off the features. I think Joanna outlined them precisely, what to expect. And at the end of the day, I would put those probably as a typical upgrade cycle. And what it means for investors, if we look back over the last 14 cycles, there's really been 2 times, especially with the iPhone 6. That was the first bigger model where you really had to stand up and say something is different here. So the theme that it needs to be just a big hit, a wow type of an iPhone to satisfy growth, I think that is a little bit misplaced. I think the reality is these products are becoming a necessity. We saw it in the June quarter. The iPhone sales were up 3%. That's at the end of a cycle in front of a 50% comp. I think that is testimony to, I guess, our dependence on these products. So to answer your question is that these are subtle updates. I think that they will be enough to continue the story. And there was something that really caught my attention in the last 24 hours related to how the iPhone, I've been bracing that the iPhone is going to have a slowdown this fall just because of all the macro. But when I see those Lululemon sales up almost 30% off of a 61% comp, there is something to be said about where that middle high-end customer is. And I think it's encouraging relative to iPhone 14 demand over the next 6 months.
Hey, Joanna, from the What's in It for Me department, did I read something in your paper about the possibility that there would be satellite connectivity included in one of these iPhones? And as a fisherman who goes to some remote places a lot of times, I'm real interested in this.
See, I thought this was going to be a niche thing, but apparently not. But yes, there have been reports that over the last number of years, Apple has been working on satellite connectivity. That is connectivity that would bring you would have service, limited service when you don't have cellular connectivity. There have been reports of that coming both to the iPhone, some parts of the iPhone, or some models of the iPhone, and the Apple Watch. There's a big expectations that the Apple Watch Pro will come out this year. This is a higher end Apple Watch that will have more durability features, may have some extra health features, and possibly the satellite feature for those that are going more off grid.
So we're not sure. It's one of those things that they're talking about it, but it could be coming to a phone. I'm not sure how I feel about that. On the one hand, I was off the grid. On the other hand, you don't necessarily want to be off the grid. So it's a little bit of a, I don't know, a double-edged sword on that.
Yeah, and the expectation is that it would be limited connectivity, right? You'd be able to possibly make phone calls, some light email. You're not going to get full data at these points. It's that there's some fallback for the phone to actually have service.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.